I was just brushing my teeth. That's just something I do every day. And that's what I want to talk about today. What we do every day. So first, let me give you guys a little background about myself. My name is Rohun, and I want to make movies. That's what I want to do with my life. That's my goal. And last year, the year 2015, I wanted to self-study film history. So I decided to watch at least one movie every day. And I actually ended up watching 450 movies by the end of 2015. But I wasn't able to do that without a failure. So technically the story starts 2 years ago in 2014. So it was the beginning of 2014, and at that point, I really solidified what I wanted to do. I knew in that moment that I wanted to make movies. And so it was the beginning of 2014, and I was watching some interviews from some of my favorite filmmakers like Richard Linklater, Robert Altman, Herzog, Iñárritu, these guys. And so they were talking about they were doing an interview. And in almost all of these interviews, this question got asked. Do you have any advice for new and up-and-coming filmmakers? And they all pretty much said the same thing. Just do it! Just go out and do it. Just do it. And so it was the beginning of the year, and I was excited, and I thought, you know what? You're just going to go out and do it. And so I set a big goal for myself. I said, Rohun, by the end of this year, you're going to make a masterpiece, a full 90-minute long, just amazing masterpiece. It's going to be awesome. And I said, okay, I'll start during spring break. And so spring break came along, and I didn't do anything. And I said, okay, I'll do it over the summer. And then the summer came, and then I said, okay, I know I have free time, but I'll do it over winter break. And winter break came, and by then reality started hitting in. It was the end of the year. It was December 31st, and I had pretty much done nothing. And I started to think, maybe it's time to give up. Maybe it's time to become a businessman or a lawyer, because I set this goal for myself and I failed, and it felt like it was going to be indicative for the rest of my life. And so I was ready to give up, and I just thought, why not? And I watched some of the interviews that I'd seen at the beginning of the year, and I watched them again. And they said the same thing. They said the exact same thing. Just do it. But it meant something different now. Because now I really realized what these people were saying. They weren't saying go out and make a masterpiece on your first day. They were saying set a goal, achieve that goal, and then set another goal. And another, and another. And so that's when I decided to do a movie a day. Because I thought I need to learn about film history to become a good filmmaker. And so I went, and January 1st, I saw a movie. January 2nd, I watched. I was checking. I checked off all these movies on my calendar. And what, let me go back. I checked off these movies on my calendar. And what happened was, as the month was going on and on, it started out really difficult, I'll be honest. It was really difficult because, as we know, as human beings, change is hard. And so it started off difficult, but as the days and the weeks and the months went on, it started to become easier and easier because I had to force myself to carve out time from each day to achieve this goal of mine. And as the months went on, I started to spend less time on social media. I started to become more efficient when I was doing my homework. I started to pay attention in class so I didn't have to study as much. I didn't take 3-hour naps when I came home because I couldn't. I simply couldn't. And that's when I started to realize something really amazing was happening. And that's why I want to share this with you guys tonight. When I took on this goal, I was ready to sacrifice my grades. I thought, okay, I'm going to do this and my grades are going to suck. And it's not going to be ideal. I'm not going to have time for my other extracurriculars. But the fact is, as I devoted myself to this art form that I really love, and I started spending more and more time doing that, I started to have more time in other aspects of my life because I became more efficient and more focused in what I wanted to do. And actually, my grades went up, which is pretty cool. And my grades went up. I had more time for extracurriculars, and I was just a happier person. And I thought about it, and that was one of the best decisions I ever made. And it's not just for movies, and it doesn't just work for me. How many of you guys know comedian Jerry Seinfeld? You know, yeah, he's the guy who's like, well, let's do the airplanes, you know? I'm not here to do impressions. Basically, Jerry, he created a system called Don't Break the Chain. And what Don't Break the Chain was, Jerry went to the store one day and he bought a big calendar and he bought a big red marker. And he said, okay, I want to be a comedian, and I'm not one yet. And he said, I'm going to write something funny every single day. And he went and he took the marker and he said, okay, I wrote something funny today. He put a big X on it. Happened the second day, third day, fourth day. And after a while, he had amassed this big chain of X's on his wall. And it would kill him if there was ever going to be a day where there wasn't an X and there was a blank space. So he didn't break the chain and he kept writing and he kept getting better and better and better. And he ended up writing one of the most successful sitcoms in the world, Seinfeld. And the thing is this doesn't just apply to art, it doesn't just apply to film, it doesn't just apply to comedy. I think everyone here in this audience can take away something from what everyone who's tried this has learned. And this is what it is. Basically, when we look at what makes us human beings, I believe that human beings seek purpose in every little thing that they do. And when you're setting a goal, you are working towards the future. But the thing is, we often think about the future in different ways. We think about the future as a far-escaping thing, but we don't think about it as the present. Because when we look at these things and we think about the purpose that we have and the things that we want to do, it seems like the future of us. But in reality, when we set goals, we have to think about what makes them effective. And what makes them effective is when we work at it every single day. Because it becomes too easy to procrastinate when you're working for a goal that's not going to happen in 10, 15, 20 years. So tonight, go home and think about where you see yourself in 10 years, where you see yourself in 20 years. Feels nice. We all see ourselves in good places. But think about where we are today and how we can work towards becoming the person we want to be every single day. Thank you.